Hello everyone, welcome. If you're new here, this is the email right here, jordaneditsyourphotos@gmail.com. Send your photos there, I will edit them live on the air. Tonight I've just got a few photos that I've taken that I'm going to edit for you using Lightroom. So let's get into that here. Alright, so this picture I took the Pacific Ocean, somewhere in northern California. No, just kidding. It's, I'm not kidding, but the beach is called Lehman Tour. It's a really nice beach. So, I'm going to edit this photo. It doesn't really need that much work, but I do want to sort of work on the waves a little bit to make them pop a little bit more. Right now everything sort of has a very similar like hierarchy, I guess, like everything's sort of the same brightness and nothing really sort of stands out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to darken the sky a little bit, and I'm going to use the gradient tool over here. So I'm just going to drag that down. I'm going to hold on shift to make sure it's even straight line to right about there, and then I am going to reduce exposure slightly, and I'm also going to boost saturation in the sky a little bit too. I might even bring up the highlights just a little bit just to kind of restore some contrast in the sky, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the beach. I might even do this one at a little bit of an angle, kind of to match the angle of the waves crashing in there. And with this one, I'm going to add a little extra texture to that sand and warm it up just a little bit too. As far as the waves go, I'm actually going to go back to the main controls for this. The waves are a little overexposed, a little blown out, just a tiny bit. But if you hold down the Alt or Option key when you're using most of these sliders, you actually get this sort of reduced output that lets you clearly see when stuff goes overexposed. So according to this, we're not really actually blown out on the highlights and the waves, which is good. So I'm gonna probably just keep that back where it was, but I am going to bring down the highlights a little bit. This photo's a little too high key for my style, and I don't think I'm gonna mess with shadows. The whites, I think I might push just a tiny bit just to bring back some contrast. So just a really quick before and after. Already just like big difference. Getting a little extra definition in the waves, and to kind of take that one step further, didn't do this before, but I think I am going to actually adjust the white balance just a tiny bit warmer, because this was kind of taken in the late afternoon. And if I turn the vibrance up, it kind of looks fake, so I'm not going to do that. I might bring the overall saturation up just a tiny bit. Actually, no, I like it how it was kind of to begin with. I like the colors of everything. If anything, the sand could maybe go a little bit more sort of copper color like that. But what I really wanted to do is come down here to effects and kind of turn up the texture a bit on the water. I'm doing like +9, +10, somewhere like that. And the clarity just ever so slightly. Clarity is really easy to overdo, so I'm just going to bring it up like 3 points. And then dehaze sometimes can be really nice for like bringing in contrast if there's atmospheric haze, but I feel like in this image it just sort of makes it look muddy and not what I want, so I'm going to leave that alone. So just really quick, before, after, I'm happy with that. I'm ready to move on. Again, before and after. Just a few little things to sort of draw the eye in to the water, darkening the sand in the sky, and just increasing the contrast a little bit on those wave droplets. Now this next photo, every photo I've done so far in the series has been like a landscape. The photo that's going to come after this, quick little preview, that, really like this picture of San Francisco, taken from Berkeley. Just a little teaser. But this one I'm going to edit now. This is a product shot, so the goals are a little bit different, I guess. But here we go. So the first thing I noticed before I even gonna touch the lighting or anything like that is the glass is like crooked. It's like leaning in one direction. So I'm gonna come over to my crop tool and my straightening this up just a little bit. And I think that is about perfect. Obviously it's taken at a sort of perspective angle that doesn't allow me to like have truly straight sides, even though the glass is truly straight. And I could play around with the lens distortion to get that, but I think that looks a lot better. I think I just lost my edit. Sorry, still getting kind of used to this new Lightroom. I think it was about like that. And then, boom, there you go. A little bit too far in the other direction. All right, so now that that is straightened out, I want to kind of make this drink pop a bit more. So the lighting is doing us a lot of favors there already. The background and the table under the glass are darker than the glass, so it is popping in that regard, but it is lacking sort of like a vibrancy that I want to see if I can fix. So my white balance, I'm going to use the dropper tool and just take a sample off the table. It's like a neutral white. And then let's see, vibrance. I think that looks nice, just to bump that up a little bit. And then really where a lot of the work in this is going to come into the color mixer. I'm going to use the color picker here and play around with the hue of the drink a little bit. Now this is a like a Tom Collins cocktail, so there's lemon juice in it. So green isn't really the color of it, but red isn't either. So I think I want it somewhere just left of center, like that. And then I'm also going to boost. Hold on, did not mean to do that. Saturation. Just want to boost saturation ever so slightly. Not making it gross like that, but something like that. See if I do before, after. It's very subtle. The lemon just sort of becomes a bit more kind of orange because of this hue adjustment. I'm going to go a little bit back the other way. And then the color of the drink just comes across, I think, more yellow and less like green. I think it just improves in that regard. All right. So I'm going to also come down here to effects, and this one I'm going to go a bit heavy-handed with the texture. You can see there's this I just happen to leave this tool color picker thing on. It's something I don't understand. Like the original, the Lightroom Classic, like when you use a tool and you use it and then you move on, it just deactivates, I think, unless I'm just like really misremembering things. With this, it sort of leaves everything on, so didn't mean to change this, but now that I'm doing it, I'm kind of like, that's kind of interesting. I like the sort of dialing up just the saturation a little bit in a couple of these colors because the curtain behind it is sort of shining through. Speaking of that, the curtain is kind of like this teal color, but I'm actually going to slide it towards blue a little bit because I like the color contrast of the yellow and the blue. And I think everything else is going to sort of stay the same. Play with luminance, just a touch. See this? So that kind of looks nice on the ice, but then the lemon sort of gets kind of weird. I think I could probably fix that just by brushing in on the pith of the lemon here. And with that, if I kind of bring down the highlights, don't want it to look kind of gray, but not blown out either. Maybe something like that. Bring down the whites, bring up the whites. Something like that. Nothing too intense. You know, I think that looks good. Just do a quick before and after. See, already making a ton of progress here. I'm also going to add a little vignette just to draw the eye in to the glass a bit more. Nothing super noticeable. Like you can really see like when post-processing vignette's been added when you're looking at a thumbnail, and oftentimes like on Instagram you are, so that's something I usually try to avoid, but just a little bit will kind of draw that eye in to the center. And I don't know, this is looking pretty good. Dehaze to something weird, just like color banding. Maybe that goes away when you zoom in. No, it doesn't. Yeah, dehaze is not my friend on this photo. Maybe just like, nope, not at all. And clarity, just maybe a little bit. Clarity is one of those things that I always like to add just a little bit, you know, but not go crazy. Sharpening, I think, is probably, just zoom in here. Let's see, just increase sharpening a little bit here, just to really bring out the detail on this ice. Can't really tell. Oh yeah, it is working. It's very subtle. Obviously that's over sharpened. Getting all these weird sort of wormy artifacts. Don't want that. Something like that. I mean, I think that's good. I'm gonna zoom out. So let's see. Before, after. Before, after. I think I accomplished my goal. My goal was to sort of make the drink stand out and kind of almost give it this glowing quality. And I think that we've accomplished that. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. Is anyone watching right now? We've got one person watching. And I don't know who's watching. Let me know in the chat. Thank you for joining. These things are fun. I think I'm going to kind of keep doing these as long as people keep watching them. I would really like to do someone else's photos, so I'm really hoping someone sends one soon to my my email. Again, that is Jordan. Here, let me put it up. jordaneditsyourphotos@gmail.com. Send your photos there, and I will edit them on the live stream. And you'll get to see what they would have looked like had I edited them. Alright, so let's get back in to the edit here. So we've got one last photo. This is the bay. looking like Bay Area, California, or this is looking out towards San Francisco from Berkeley, like from the what is it, the Sciences complex, something like that. Way up on the hill, get this really nice view, and I just happen to have some pretty cool clouds one day. You may recognize this photo from my banner on YouTube, so check that out after this and see how my edit compares to the edit I did a year ago on that. But let's get going with the edit. So this one right away, like, it feels a bit sort of washed out. There's not a ton of contrast. There is, like, in this tree down in the right hand corner, but down here on the ground it's just kind of hazy. So first thing I think I'm going to play with is dehaze. And wow, look at just that one slider. Obviously not that much, but look at the difference that makes. Just brings out the detail in the skyline buildings and the clouds. And you can still see the town down below, but it's just not so like washed out and hazy. So in this case, dehaze did exactly what I wanted to. Texture looks unnatural to me in the clouds, and clarity looks gross. So I'm going to leave those. I'm going to come back up here to exposure. I think, I could go brighter on here, like that. But that's not really how it was. It was, just before sunset, and I'm going to say this is a better sort of representation. And it was golden hour, although we did have these sort of clouds up above that cooled it off a little bit, but there was this warm sun coming in from the right. So I think something like that is going to work well. Just check with that. Sometimes I like to use the color sampler, especially if I have a neutral color like a white or gray. See what it would do. See, I think that's way cooler than it was in real life. So I'm just going to warm it up a little bit like that. Let's see, what else can I do here? I think I'm going to crop this in. Cropping's not something I do a ton of, but I don't know. There's a lot of not any information going on in the top quarter of this photo. It's all just this gray sky, so I'm gonna bring that down. Maybe leave a little in up there like that. Just really bring in the focus on the Bay Bridge and San Francisco. 'Cause that's, really what this photo is of. The Bay Bridge just glowing in the sun that's piercing through the clouds there. So I think that crop serves this photo much better. I think I am going to play with the, let's see, I'm going to give some kind of mood to this photo. I think it's too golden. I kind of like playing up the blues and the teals in the sky here. Something like that. Obviously not that much, but even just a little bit like that is kind of fun. And then I think the clouds are where I can maybe go more into that sort of golden theme. Orange and red looks weird, but I think kind of gold like that, and then just dial it back pretty much. Something like that. You can play around with this. I kind of like this subdued, muted look right there. And I almost want to bring down these midtones a little bit too, and then see if I can see. Raising the shadows kind of just undoes all the work I did with the dehaze, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Maybe just drop it ever so slightly, because, well, it's nice to know that this is a city with buildings below, I don't really need to see like that much detail. This is really about what's going on in the middle here. So now that everything is sort of like toned down and muted, I feel like I do want to sort of brighten up just the bridge and maybe some of the skyline too. So to do that, I'm going to come back over here to the brush tool. I'm going to get a nice big brush, and kind of starting from about here where the sun is naturally coming through there, I'm just going to paint on here, and then I'll probably go across to there, maybe a little over there. So if you hover over here, you can kind of see where you've painted. I don't want anything on the trees. But yeah, I think that is looking quite nice. So I am just going to bump the exposure on this a little bit up in the contrast and kind of get rid of that like brightened look. And then I'll bring in some highlights. You gotta be kind of careful. You can kind of see it feeling like the water's getting brightened, but I think I'm just going to add a little bit over here. I think the fact that the sun is coming in from the west here sort of sells that idea that the water might be a little brighter in this spot. And then, let's see, shadows. Let me bring these down and bring the whites down as well. I don't think I want to touch the blacks at all. Texture, I'm just going to increase a little bit, because remember when I tried adding texture to the entire photo, that was really kind of messing with the clouds and making the clouds look unnatural. But I think adding some texture to the bridge and the skyline kind of makes those stand out a bit more. And this is a case I'm actually going to put quite a bit of clarity on, because I think it kind of adds some contrast back really nicely on Treasure Island there. If I do just a little bit more dehazing just in the city, no, I don't really like that. Kind of sucks the life out of it. I like this sort of like haze in this case, because I mean, let's face it, there really was haze. That's why it looks so hazy. Saturation, I'm not really gonna touch. And let me just make sure, yeah, I think it's kind of good on that front. So if we come back to the original, wow, huge difference. Look at that. I think the contrast is like a little too high for the main photo, and I, besides the exposure, I didn't really touch anything there, so I'm going to actually dial that down just a little bit and actually boost the shadows, but then bring down the blacks. I think that's, let's see, before, after. Yeah, I think that is looking pretty good right there. Actually gonna undo that black adjustment. There's something weird with the these dark trees here on the water line. When you bring down the black levels, they sort of become muddy. So I'm gonna leave that. Alternative framing right there. The Bay Bridge and the skyline, kind of like that too, but not quite enough pixels for me. So there you go. Before, after, before, after. Obviously play with the color grading, sort of this like balance of the cool blues and the warm yellows, especially in the sky, to really make that pop, versus before just sort of gray, right? And then really sort of brought out, I think, the skyline. Like if you look in the original, there's really no details on those buildings, and in the edited version, you can even make out the individual kind of separation in the windows, like especially on those two white buildings right in the center. So I'm happy with that edit. As a review here, I'm just going to go back to the beginning. So we did this one, took it from that to that. This product shot, took it from that to that. And this picture of San Francisco from that to that. So that's all I have planned for today. I don't think I have any emails from anyone of photos to edit. I'm just going to double check quick though before I end the live stream. Let's see. I have no emails. So that is the end of today's live stream. If you tuned in live, thanks so much for sticking around. I'm glad to have you here. This is only my second time doing this, so it's kind of fun to see who joins. I know there's not a ton of you, but the ones that are here, you know, you're the true homies. So yeah, with that said, if you're, I am going to post this to the channel so you can catch the replay too. And if you do want your photos edited, let me just bring back me. Hi, jordaneditsyourphotos at gmail.com. Send your unedited original photographs there, and I will edit them here on the live stream. All right, guys, gonna head out. I probably won't do another live stream until next week, but if I do get a number of submissions, maybe I'll do a special weekend edition one. All right, I will see you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your night, and thanks for watching. Subscribe, like this video, tell me what your favorite edit was, do all those things. It really does help.